Do your tires look like this?
Ew, gross!
But you wish they looked like this? Does your quad have mad power but just can't hook for shit? Mike Sabo here with another fantastic product, and it's the Obor Advent tires. You guys may have watched my most recent series of the 250R versus the Banshee, and you may be wondering, how did an 80 horsepower quad lose to a 50 horsepower quad in a drag race? Well guys, it came down to the tires. I have put these tires through quite a bit of extensive testing, and I'm confident in marketing these tires and saying that they are one of the best on the market. They just give great hook. They've got great sidewall traction. They're great in the mud, great in the loose dirt, pretty much great in everything that you can put them in, and they can be yours for just 3 easy payments of... Wait a second. Obor Tires and I are actually doing a giveaway. You can win yourself a brand new set of Obor Advent or Advent S tires, so you can beat all your friends that have faster quads but have crappy tires on them. To enter, it's super easy. All you have to do is go over to my Instagram page and follow me at MichaelSabo350. Follow the Obor Tires Instagram page and tag 3 friends below. Submissions start as soon as you see this post, and the winner will be picked next Friday the 10th. Good luck. Now, if you can't wait for the giveaway and you want to pick up a set of tires now, make sure to click the link in my bio and use code 10MikeSabo for 10% off your order of Obor tires.
You hear that? That's the sound of success. Check this thing out. Whoa. Look at that. Swapped out the Mikuni for a 40mm Kian. You guys are not going to believe how cheap that carburetor was. I'm going to show you guys in a second. Now I can actually like ride it around. It's like decent. It's not easy to start, but it's a lot easier to start than before. I was able to do it with regular sneakers. Definitely not easy, but you know. And it's not leaking, I swear. That's because I was doing jetting and kept having to dump the carburetor to change the jets out. But it's running really well. It's been running for probably 20 minutes. Got the fan on in the front just in case. I don't want it to overheat. So yeah, let me tell you about this carburetor though. Believe it or not, that's actually a replica carb. And it only costs 32 bucks. Check this out. I mean, this looks pretty legit to me. Kian on there is spelled correctly. Sudco. The carburetor itself, I mean, it feels just like a genuine Kian too. And if it's not scary seeing how good the carburetor looks, wait till you see the box. So I have 2 boxes here. One is the knockoff, one is genuine. If it wasn't for this made in China sticker, I mean, honestly, they look identical besides like the part numbers. It's a 40mm. I did measure the inner diameter. Up here you can see it says PWK carburetor 40. Down here it says PWK 38, but it is a 40. And then on this side, I noticed they taped off a segment of the box. I wonder if that would make it like illegal or something, or if this is like a genuine box, and I don't know, and they have to tape it. Unbelievable. So let's see what the inside looks like. Looks pretty legit. I wish I had a 38 or a genuine carb here to actually compare it side by side. And it looks like standard Kian style jets. I'm assuming the genuine Kians will swap right over, which we will be using genuine jets in this at least. Crazy. So now that we basically have the engine sorted out, we're gonna have to do a little bit of tuning, but I can't really do that until I can actually ride the quad, put it under some load. But for now, the way that it sits, I'm ready to get all the other stuff done. We have the brand new Obor tires we're going to throw on this thing. Don't forget to hit my Instagram if you want to sign up and get a free set of Obor tires. What else do we have? I want to do the carrier bearings because they are roasted. We have a steering stem coming. That, I don't know if that'll be in the mail today or not. That thing's been on back order. Keeps saying that it's like out for delivery, but it never comes. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Also got handlebars, levers, grips. Basic stuff. I'm probably not going to do that unless by magic the steering stem comes. We'll probably hold that until the steering stem comes. And I also want to bleed the brakes because these are really mushy. They suck. I also have a seat cover. I'll put a new seat cover on this thing, new plastics, graphics, and make this thing actually look like a quad. Now the first thing I want to do is get rid of these old dingy, shitty tires and replace them with some brand new Obor Advents. But before I do that, remember to give me a thumbs up if you enjoy these videos and consider hitting that subscribe button. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off. I just got a cool new tool that I wanna show you guys. It's a bead breaker. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably just do this on my own time. So this is the cool new tool right here. It's a bead breaker. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. I will have a link in the description below where you can get one of these. Super simple tool. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can probably see how it works. This goes on the lip of your rim. You press this down and it'll take the bead off of the tire. I've already done a couple tires with it, and it's pretty easy to use. If you've ever tried doing ATV tires by hand, if you can't break the bead, you're out of luck. So with all this stuff here, we should be able to change the tire out. We got a brand new Obor tire there. Got some Motion Pro tire irons and some old school tire irons, and of course some Windex just to help ease the tire on. And I've also got a valve stem removal tool. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do is remove the valve stem and get all the air out of these tires. I always replace the valve stems whenever I put new tires on. They only cost like 5 cents. So we'll put our rim in here. There's a little lip here that holds the tire from scooting away from us. And then you have different levels up here. You just gotta find the one that works. And sometimes you gotta do this a couple times. Oh, there it goes. Pop the bead right off. This one's a little more stubborn. Let's go down a notch. Oh, I get it. Let's rotate it. There we go. That one's a little more stubborn. That's pretty cool though, isn't it? So now we're gonna get these off. What you wanna do is tuck the one half of your tire so that it goes into this belly in your rim. And when you do that, it'll enable you to get this spoon in over here. And then this is just basic tire removal, pain in the ass kind of stuff. Got these Motion Pro tire spoons. They're a little bit skinnier, and they've got a nice little lip on the end. Sometimes fishing in a tire spoon can be a pain in the ass. Go. All right, so now I like to put a towel down because things can start to slide around, especially once you introduce any kind of soap into the mix, and on a tile floor, things just want to slip and move. So the towel just keeps things from moving. They have to have bears on them, otherwise it's not gonna work. The last thing you wanna do is spend all this time putting a new tire on, or you pay somebody to put a tire on, and then your valve stem is bad. It's such a cheap part. And I'm just gonna clean that area in case there's any like gritty stuff or whatever, anything that's gonna prevent it from sealing. We don't want that happening. Take our new valve stem. It's a shorty. I like these. Put a little bit of soap on this to ease it through. You come through the back side, go to the front. The valve stem tool, this will just spin into place, and then you just pull it through. Boom, pops right into place. I like to spin it just a couple times just to make sure that the rubber is seated and you don't get any air leaks or anything. All right, so now we're going to take our brand new Obor Advent tire. You want to make sure that it's facing the right orientation. So you want to look at if they're directional. If it's a non-directional tire, it's not going to matter. But you just want to make sure that you're putting these on the right way. It's just just as bad as not putting a valve stem in. You know, you put it on, you see it's the wrong way. You got to pop the tire off and switch it, or run them backwards, which I do see people doing sometimes. So I'm going to take my Windex and just get it all over the bead and the inside lip of the tire. You can sometimes push them into place and it'll pop on the bead. It depends on the tire and the rim, but you keep the weight on the one side, otherwise it'll slip. There we go. Boom. Let's just walk it on. You see I'm keeping my knee over here so that the bead doesn't just slip around this side. Now the tire's on there. There's one thing I actually forgot to do, and that is clean the inner lip of the bead. This one was in pretty good shape, so we probably wouldn't have a problem. But a lot of times dirt and debris and stuff gets like caked up against there, and if you don't clean that out, your bead won't seat and you'll get leaks around the bead. Luckily, because we haven't seated the bead, I'm able to get in here with a Scotch-Brite and just clean up that inner bead. The Don't really have to do much. This one wasn't that bad. It's just a good habit to get into when you put new tires on, though, just to ensure you don't get leaks. And then we'll clean off the debris. This thing should seat no problem. What I like to do is put some soap on the bead. Again, both sides. That'll help it slip over. Sometimes tires can really be a pain in the ass. We're going to use our blue point. Go ahead and fill it up. Luckily, this one took. Sometimes, oh, it's going to pop on real quick. I don't know if you guys can see it working its way around. Oh, the other side went. Boom. Both sides are good to go. Yeah, sometimes if the air doesn't want to take, you gotta put like a strap around it sometimes, and it can be a real pain in the ass. I'm gonna bring these down probably to 9 foot-pounds for the front. All right, get this thing in place. QuadZilla's got these tiny little studs. I don't know why, but they're from 1987 and they still haven't bent or anything, so I guess you don't really need more. And of course, don't forget your valve stem cover, because if you forget that, like, what are we even doing here? All right, now I want to go ahead and take off the axle assembly because we have to swap out our carrier bearings, and we can throw our brand new Obor tires on the back as well. First thing we have to do is break loose this axle nut. Sometimes that can be a major pain in the ass. The best way to keep the tire from moving really is to have somebody sit on the quad and hold the brake, and especially having their weight on the quad too. It keeps the wheels from spinning and everything. It's just nice. Since we don't have anybody here, I've created a method to help hold the rear brake when you break those loose. You take a clamp and clamp your brake pedal down to something. In this case, I was able to clamp it to the stand. There you go. Those hubs are way loose. But yeah, now our axle won't spin, brake is nice and tight. All right, now we'll take our big ass wrench and pray to God that this thing comes off. We got it moving. That's good. All right, the axle nuts are off, so we're gonna take our rear caliper off so we can slide the brake rotor away. Get our axle out, so we got 2 bolts holding our caliper stay on the bottom, one here, and there's one up here I'm gonna break loose just so that we can bring this whole thing up. Now we're able to sneak it up. A lot of these bolts were not very tight. Before I move on, I wanna take our hubs off. Oh, wow. Finger tight. Big surprise. All right, well, this S-axle is stuck really good. I don't know what is holding this because it does move. There's no clips or anything in there. I looked in the service manual. It should come out from this side. Before we do too much damage to the end of our axle, I have a trick that I like to do. Take a piece of pipe that has the same inner diameter as your splines, and that'll fit on there, and you can go to town on this, smashing the hell out of it, and you shouldn't damage anything. Let's see if we can finally get this thing out of here.
All right, guys, we're hitting this thing way too hard. It definitely should have come out by now. Even if one of the inner races of the bearings was seized to the axle, it should have pushed the bearing out. So I took the axle nuts off of the other side of the axle, and sure enough, the axle popped right out. The wording in the Suzuki service manual is a little bit confusing. It looks like you hit it from the right side to the left, but apparently the axle comes out of the right side.
Well, that was fun, but at least nothing broke and only a few tears were shed. So I brought those in and then I loosened them up because we're gonna have to adjust this axle anyways. Now we have these studs that go in the back. This is what allows us to adjust our chain. This one, I had to retrace the entire thing with a die because some genius tried to force a standard bolt on here. But we all do dumb things, right? I just tried pushing the axle out the wrong side for like an hour and a half. So I lost the audio for this section, but right here I'm putting on a new style of hubs. If you guys know the QuadZilla, they have a 5 lug pattern, and it's kind of a crappy lug pattern because it's hard to find aftermarket wheels for them. So we're upgrading to these hubs. They're from a KFX 400, LTZ 400 will work as well. And this way we can work with a standard 4x110 bolt pattern. When I put on hubs, I like to anti-seize or grease the splines. And I also use red Loctite on the nuts as well as hitch pins. And then I'll put a zip tie on the end of the hitch pin. And this way it won't come out no matter how fast your wheel's spinning.
And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. Finally put on these brand new rims and tires.
Dude, check these out. That is aggressive. I love the look of the Advent tires from Obor. They just look killer. Also got the chain on there. I have it pretty tight because I imagine that's going to have to stretch a little bit. I did adjust the chain. I torqued these down, 70 foot-pounds on this side, 60 on this side. Wheels are all good to go. So the whole back end is ready to rock and roll. And what's scary is that I can actually ride it the way that it sits right now. But we're not going to do that. What I want to do is put the steering stem on. Check this out. Got a brand new LSR +2 +0. Yeah, I think it's a +2 +0. Really nice steering stem. You can see it's stepped up right here. Get a little more light. There we go. I believe it's 87 only. 88 to 80, 88 to 90. I think there's no stops here. And of course we got the risers. Got some gold levers, Pro Taper bars, new Scott grips. And we have a seat cover and graphics over here. And this too. Temperature gauge I'm going to get on there. That's from Mod Quad. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and get all this stuff on there. Oh, and new bearings and bushings for the steering stem. So everything should be really nice and tight. Let's get it. See those 2 tabs? On the OEM one, there's no tabs. That is for 88 to 90, I believe. So they sent the wrong steering stem. We don't have time to waste, so I'm going to cut them off, and this should still work. Yeah, that's not even close. Definitely gonna have to do some modifications to this thing. All right, there it is, guys. I finally got it to fit. Pretty time consuming getting it to this state. Had to take a lot off, but it should look good. I had to drill a little hole there for a spring that sits in there, and I had to countersink this little custom screw so that I can fine tune and adjust it so that it'll be perfect. You can see this had that little spot for the spring. So let's get it on there. It should look good. What did we learn? We learned that a 5-minute job can turn into an hour-and-a-half long job. So our steering stem, we had to modify. Wrong year sent. That wasn't as bad, but these levers ended up taking about an hour and a half to get them to work right. I might still have to do a little bit of adjusting with them because it feels like It's hard to tell. There might be a little bit of rolling resistance. I might have to relieve this just a little bit. I don't want any pressure on the plunger in there. Put a new clutch perch on here for John. I took this junk, clunky piece of crap out of here. Definitely looks way more streamlined and clean with just a basic clutch perch, and it fit on this one. That one, it would have taken even more modification. If those were the right levers, it would have been a 5-minute job. Literally just swap them right in. When you get cheap stuff, a lot of times things don't fit. It's not even close. It's like a universal kind of deal, and then it ends up being something like that. So we're pretty close to, I mean, I could ride it how it is now. I also snuck the temperature gauge in under here. It has to be on this upper line because the flow comes down this line, through the impeller, up the cylinder, and then out the top. So if you had it down here, that would be fluid coming through the radiator after it's already cooled. It wouldn't really be very effective. So that's why I had to tuck it way up under here so that the coolant comes right out of the head and it goes right to the temperature gauge. So that should be very accurate in that position. All right, it is finally time to put on the plastics. This is what I've been waiting for.
All right, guys, check it out. Look how she's sitting, man. I don't know if you guys noticed before, the ass end was raised up a little bit, and it looked just kind of weird. And I even sat on it, and I was like, man, this just doesn't seem right. Turns out, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this. There's like a cam style kind of deal in the linkage. It's called an eccentric. And if that's rolled in the wrong position, it'll make the ass end of the bike sit up too high. I appreciate you guys. I posted one picture up for Labor Day, and somebody pointed it out immediately. I went outside, and sure enough, it was flipped. So I flipped that back correctly. Now the bike is sitting nice. And then I got a whole bunch of more messages of people rushing in to be like, oh, dude, what are you doing? You got to flip that around. So I got it fixed. I appreciate you guys. I also tinkered around with the jetting a little bit. It was super rich. Now it idles nice, and it actually starts like fairly easily, and it feels like it's got a little bit more power. I was cruising around on it just a little bit, and it was just falling on its face. I was like, I can't even post this. I was recording it, and I was like, dude, this ain't right, man. We got to do the QuadZilla some justice. So now we'll hop on it and see what she's got. All right, now, because I know people are going to be curious, because I'd be curious, probably wondering what kind of jets I'm running in here. So it's a 40mm PWK style carburetor. It is not a genuine carb. And I have a 55 Pilot and a 178 main. A DEK, it's a DEK, yeah, DEK needle on the middle clip position. And the fuel air screw is 1.5 turns out. And it feels okay. I think it's a little rich still. I'm not 100% sure. Just let it get warmed up a little bit. Man, this thing has such good bottom end. I'm not gonna go crazy with this thing or do any hard pulls because, well, for one, this isn't my machine. I'll wait for John for that. Just kind of make sure everything is good with it before he comes and gets it. But the jetting feels way better. You hear it? It's breaking up a little bit up top. I think it's still maybe just a little bit rich. But it pulls pretty good. Nice deep tone. And you guys got to remember too, I come from riding an 80 horsepower Banshee, and my 250R has got like 50-55 horsepower. I'm used to fast machines, so this is a pretty much stock QuadZilla 500. So it's not going to be like impressively fast for me. I wasn't really expecting it to, but it does have good power. It definitely pulls, no doubt. And you know, we won't really know until, you know, I can get this out into a field and really open it up, or, you know, get it to the trails and actually see what it can do. Yeah, man, it pulls. It's got good power. It actually kind of jumps okay. Well, guys, I can't go too crazy with this. Like I said, I want to wait for John to really do like a first ride. This is more to just make sure, you know, we're at least somewhat in the ballpark with jetting. It starts okay. It seems to idle all right. And we're going to have to mess with it anyways out of the dunes. Yeah, I can tell that we're not really getting the full potential of this thing without opening it wide open. I think this is a little bit faster than I'm giving it credit for. All right, guys, that was pretty cool, man. For me, this is something really special because I've never actually ridden a QuadZilla before. I've never really even had an opportunity to sit on one. So it's just cool to actually have one here in front of me and to be able to hear it and start it. But the last time I actually fired up a QuadZilla in a garage I was like 12 years old, I think. It was actually gonna be my first big quad, which was crazy. Like, totally didn't know what I was getting myself into. And it turned out the countershaft could pull out of the engine for whatever reason. Like a star clip or something on the countershaft was missing. But I was 12 and I was like, oh my God. Didn't want to be getting myself into major problems. It's probably a good idea because QuadZilla is definitely not a first quad. But it's just cool, man. I remember when the dude that was selling it fired it up, and like just the loud, deep popping sound and everything that they make in the garage. And when I fired this thing up in the garage this time, that feeling came back like from so long ago. So it's just cool to actually have one of these here and to be able to ride it and everything. So I appreciate John letting me work on this thing. Hopefully we'll have a ton of fun with this out on the dunes. Hopefully, maybe it can even hold its own. I don't think it's going to be like crazy. Like I said, it's basically stock, but it's a runner for sure. I'm pretty excited about it. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for following along with Project QuadZilla. Let me get you on the quad. And if you guys enjoyed this series, please give me a thumbs up. That helps me out a ton. If you guys want to see more videos and stuff like this, let me and let Stupid Fast John know, because this quad's going to be going right to him. So he'll be the one making contact with this thing from now on. And yeah, guys, that'll be all. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you guys. Peace.